So hello, and welcome to another adventure of Good Fat Life here at Good Fat Life Podcast, right?
Yeah.
And my guest today is Lacey Reedy. And Lacey has a very interesting past, story, adventure, right? And before we get started on all of that, I just want to remind you to check out goodfatlife.com. We have I guess it's been here for a month now. It's almost May. I can't believe it. But it's full of good things. And Cam, one of the, video techs, I'm not sure what Cam's role is here, was asking if I ever looked back, right, on the magazines. And no, I don't. And I think part of it is because I just know how much I didn't know when I started, right?
Yeah.
And it feels very vulnerable.
Yeah.
But as we were talking, it can be good to do that because you can see how far you've kind of gone.
Yeah, exactly.
And so how do you feel about that on looking back on?
Absolutely. I think there's obviously a fine line, right? Looking back in the past and, because I deal a lot with depression and that's more looking back on the past where anxiety is more looking at the future, But definitely when it comes to looking at the past and seeing where you've been and where you're heading, right? We all want to look forward and think of all the cool things that are going to happen, but looking back and just saying, look at where I've been, this is where I started and these are the jumps that I've taken throughout the course of this space. And just recognizing that although these changes feel small in the moment, we don't necessarily feel like we've been growing. But when you look back, you see like just this huge jump of from here to here. You know what I mean? It's really cool to be able to see that in real time.
And it's really true.
It is.
I mean, it's so true. And you go, oh my gosh. And it can be with anything, right? We're trying to learn French. And while I couldn't have a conversation with a French-speaking person, I probably know 400 or 500 words.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
But
way better than me.
but it's like anything. It's just like with anything. Or I knit a sock. I actually knit my first sock
awesome.
this week. We went to Morocco, and my colleague would knit socks, and I'm like, she showed me the secrets. And you're right. It's just kind of like, but like we were saying, it's so much as the journey.
It is.
And we get so caught up in the getting to the results, like, I'm not proficient in French, or I'm not this.
Right.
And it's easy to, I don't know,
slide off that scale almost, to give up or whatever.
Give up or beat ourselves up because we're not at this end goal. And it's the journey that makes it, that's where the life is.
Right.
So go ahead, Lacey, tell us what you do.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. You're involved in a number of things, and you have a big trip coming up that I want to hear about how that evolved.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Right now I'm in the space of exploring what is all out there and where I'm being called to bring service. What I do is I help people that are just in that space, the mental health space, and they want more out of life. Maybe they're on that self journey, or maybe they've just started and they just want more out of life. And those are the people that I love working with because it's just so fun seeing their eyes light up, after sessions or our time together. And so I really love that. But yes, right now I'm taking this space to just listen and notice where I'm being called. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how this big trip coming up came to be. What was going on in my life at that point is it felt as if a door had closed in the business sense in a certain area. And within a couple days of that door seemingly closing, I got a call from a friend. Her name's Christina, and she's an amazing woman, quantum healer. She does all kinds of fun stuff, Reiki, all of these cool things. And we've been friends for maybe a couple years now. And I visited one of her retreats about a year ago. And she came to me and asked me to co-host a retreat with her. And I was like, I've had it on my mind that I'd like to try that. So, initially, I had a lot of fears come up, if I'm being completely honest, right? Because I have a lot of fears around travel, but it is something I want to do more of. So it's one of those things where I know it's just fear. I've stepped into the growth phase of that.
Okay. And you're not just traveling, down the road. You're going to Mexico.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So that's a big trip.
It is. It is. And so, yes, I've been stepping into that space. But yeah, I took a couple of days to kind of think about it. And one of the biggest things that I just said to myself during that time where I was just thinking on it, I said, you know what? I just need to I know this is fear. I need to take this fear outside of me and look at it and just say, this is just fear. You know what I mean? Yes, they are legitimate fears, but I can't step into a place that I'm being called into without, I can't not step into that. You know what I mean? Because of fear.
But you just said something that I find so true been in my life and in watching people, is there's things that we're just freaked out about.
Right.
It's like, I just can't do this. And you just want to run screaming out of the room, right?
Yeah.
But then there's this other part of it that's like, I can't not do it.
Right.
And so it's finding that way to reconcile. I love how you just said, okay, I'm going to take this out here.
Right. It's not me.
It's not me. Because fear is just an idea, and absolutely nothing in the world has ever been accomplished that didn't require somebody to step outside of their fear.
Right.
And the more you do it, the easier it gets.
Absolutely. There's a lot of things, I was just thinking, I've been on podcasts before, and I remember the first time I was on a podcast, I had my stomach was just flipping, and I was just I was 2 seconds away from making the call to say, I can't do this, and then today I'm coming in and I'm just this is going to be awesome, So it's when you step into that fear, you build resilience, and these fears that I'm tapping into are really big ones. I'm realizing that I've known that I've always had these fears, and I see this as an amazing opportunity to step into that and live into it, even with the fear, And one thing that always grounds me is when I was thinking of the name of my company, which is Fearless Health, kept coming back to that. And I'm because I'm kind of it kind of reminds me of that Fear This from the 90s. And I'm I don't know why, but I just love this Fearless Health. And I think when I was creating that, I was thinking it was for other people. But what I found is it was for me, because I always tell myself, I can't have a company name like Fearless Health and let fear decide for me what I do.
But that's so true, isn't it? It's we think we're doing this for other people.
Right.
And I think part of it is the only way that we actually then can go that direction. Because it's it's for others.
Right.
The greater good, right?
Yes.
But the truth is, it's our stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just our stuff. And that's one of the reasons why Cam asked me if I looked back at my first issues. It's I'm just freaked out, scared to do it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you see you in this new space, right? You're uncomfortable. We're always uncomfortable when we're doing something the first time or handful of times. And you're just I don't want to experience that again, right?
Right. I don't want to feel that fear and that.
Yeah.
But then on the other side, it's whoa, okay.
Yeah. You have come a long way.
We have come a long ways. And I look at the people I've gotten to meet and work with. And I don't know, it's just, that's the point.
Right. That's the point of this whole thing.
So tell me more about the retreat. So what's going to happen at the retreat?
Yes. So it's a very adventurous retreat. So we're going to be doing 3 excursions, which is kind of a lot.
Okay.
One of them is we're going to be going to a local beach. We're doing a lot of water activities and just we're focusing on surrender, self-love, and detoxing, mostly from an emotional perspective, but also with the, we're going to have very good, healthy foods, no alcohol or anything like that. So it's different than the retreats I used to go to in my 20s. Or not, I never went to a retreat in my 20s, but, the all-inclusive type things. We're going to a local beach one of the days. Another day, we're going to go to a cenote. And then...
What's that?
It's I don't know how to describe it. It's just they have a little bit of waterfalls sometimes. It depends on the cenote itself. They have large areas where you can jump in and jump off of a cliff. So that's going to be a really good surrender piece.
Okay.
We're going to do
Into
a lot
pool?
of like a natural pool. Yep. Mm-hmm. those types of things. And yeah, just again, a lot of water, a lot of like cleansing. It is very cleansing for not only for the body, but for the soul as well. And then the final excursion we're going to be doing is we're going to Cozumel. So it's going to be like a boat trip over and just kind of hang out there and hit Cancun on the way back, and then get back to the retreat center. So yeah, that's going to be real cool. And then a ton of just healing sessions, and we have some like quantum activations from Christina, and then I'm going to be doing some coaching sessions and some one-to-one sessions. And this is something we're very careful of that I'm learning in the retreat space, and this is some space that I really needed to learn is like, make sure you schedule breaks, because you don't want to be go, 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 especially when you're really focusing on healing, because you need that time to sit and integrate and just reflect, because there's going to be a lot of different, I hope to speak things in a way that resonates with these people that are coming, and I believe there's a reason why there's certain people coming. You know what I mean? They come because we're resonating on that same vibration, and they're going to hear the things that they need to hear in this retreat. So,
right. Oh, it sounds wonderful.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So, well, good. I wish you the best, and that's going to be cool. Yeah. You and I were talking about before that we're both sitting here with kind of like stuffy heads.
Yes.
And because we've been really busy and traveling a lot, and is it allergies? Is it a cold? It's like, what is it? And we were talking about finding that way to not be balanced, but to be integrated.
Exactly.
That's kind of like the word I really think is more important than balanced. It's integrated because our lives are just insane right now.
Right.
And even if they weren't, the world we live in is a little insane. And so we're being bombarded all the time with all of this uncertainty.
Yeah. And it all starts within too. You know what? That's the biggest discovery I've found in this journey is it starts with me, because if I'm in fight or flight constantly, other people around me are, they're doing their thing too. And it's just being in that space for you too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So whether you don't have to go to Mexico to be in that space.
Right.
Right?
It can happen now.
And it needs to.
Exactly.
I think we were talking about letting go of different things to create the space for us to have the space.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of times I've noticed when that space is created, like I was saying even earlier, it felt as if a door was closing. Mm-hmm. It was creating space for what I was to step into next, So some things that feel in the moment as if it's not a good thing, it can be so much something, it's setting you up for something even more beautiful that you never really could have comprehended.
And I was having a conversation with a colleague about that exact thing earlier. Mm-hmm. And it was one of those situations. She had gotten this amazing opportunity, and then when the contract was supposed to be ready, they came back and said, "Oh, the funding was pulled."
Right.
And I mean, she was devastated. Mm-hmm. It was a huge deal, and it was. So we were having that conversation around, at what point do you push to figure out why, or when do you just say this or something better?
Right.
Because there's how many times in our lives have those things happened where it's just like, in retrospect, it's like, wow, I'm glad that didn't happen.
Right. Something we think that we need, right? And it ends
or
up
a relationship, or
exactly, right?
Yeah, or a house, or something. It could be all kinds of things.
Exactly.
You didn't get the house you wanted, or
exactly.
Somebody broke up with you that broke your heart, but
right.
but actually it was a good thing.
Yes,
right?
Yeah, and we only learn that hindsight. We don't see it in real time. And keeping that in mind when those things that do seem heartbreaking at the moment, just keeping that in mind that there's something bigger going on that I'm being prepared for. And it's really a beautiful thing. It's the journey that we're talking about, right?
Exactly. And we've been talking about that, and it just keeps coming up. This last couple of weeks, it's come up over and over again, how important it is to take care of ourselves today.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It can't be, and as we were talking, it can't be when I get this project done, or when I get back from this trip, or when I, my son graduates, or whatever that is. It has to be, no, what can I do today to take exquisite care of myself?
Right.
So that I don't have a snotty nose tomorrow.
Right.
Or whatever that is.
Exactly. Because making it happen now is tough, but it's also going to be tough 3 months from now, maybe even harder because we built these habits in that are.
That's a great point. It is harder. I mean, I think it does get harder.
Yeah.
And I've had my 40s kids say, gosh, when I get home at the end of the day, I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do these things. And in hindsight, looking at that, I'm like, you guys are young.
Right?
Right?
Yeah.
That doesn't get easier.
It doesn't. We even created some habits that I want to change during like 2020, what I mean? And it's like we're still struggling to get out of some of those habits. And it's just like, geez,
It's true, but it's really so true because it was a long time to be at home, confined, and all of that.
It was. It was.
You're right. We got some too.
Right.
So, well, good. Well, I wish you the best on your trip. It sounds
you.
amazing. And so if people wanted to find you, how could they find you?
Yeah. So I recently started getting back on Facebook in the new year. So it's just Fearless Health. I believe
that's a great name.
Thank you. I love it even more now than when I was originally picking it up. I mean, there's something about that, you keep coming back to something for a reason. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was for a different reason back then, but it's in my heart now. Now I know the real reason. So again, the hindsight being what it is.
It is.
I'm also on Instagram, but I'm not as present there. I'm more present on Facebook. So, but I do post on Instagram.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll put that in the show notes.
Thank you.
So we'll have an amazing trip.
Thank you.
Oh, if you were going to say, if somebody was saying, I want more. I want a richer, fuller life. I want a good fat life, as we like to say, right?
Yeah.
Where would you suggest that they start?
Like we spoke about with the self. I've recently had a bit of a realization, and it's been coming to me throughout the course of this business journey, right? Which has really been a life journey for me. And I found that we all need three main things. We need to feel safe, so safety. We need love, and we need trust. Those are like the trifecta that I've been and it's kind of all come together. And it's just like within the last week was when I kind of put it together, and it's really cool. So when we're just starting out the journey, a lot of times we're maybe operating in fear, shame, and guilt. Fear is there's not enough. Shame is I am not enough. And guilt is I didn't do enough. So when we speak of fear, we transmute that to safety. Okay. When we speak of shame, we transmit that to love, self-love. And then when we speak of guilt, we transmute that to trust. So it's just
Wow. It's really
pretty
powerful.
Right.
Yeah. You could write books on that, volumes on that. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's really cool. So that's just work on, to simplify though, work on self-love. That's probably they're all equally important, honestly. But think of ways that you can love yourself more, whether it's getting your nails done or taking a day to go to one of your retreats, your day retreats, which
read
are so
Good Fat
amazing.
Life.
Read Good Fat Life, right? Make the time for yourself. And sometimes it's just making the time for yourself is the first step. That is such a big deal. You know what I mean? We get caught up in the daily stuff that I need to do this and I need to do this for my kids and for my husband or my spouse, right?
Or my friends or my parents.
Right.
I'm seeing that a lot now, just as parents are getting older, as we're getting older.
Yeah.
For my parents, for my,
exactly.
For my church,
for
my
everyone.
work, for my,
right. But we can't give from an empty cup. Just giving yourself time is an amazing, first few steps.
That's a great place to start. Even 5 minutes.
Right. Even just 5 minutes, but dedicate yourself to that because it's one of the most important things that you can give yourself. And in my journey, that was the most, that was one of the most important things.
I remember I was probably about 42 because we had moved from Oregon to Ohio. My kids were teenagers. They were in high school. And I scheduled a massage.
Yeah.
Right? And I was so tight and tense. And the massage therapist, she was wonderful. She goes, "You've got to get more time for yourself. Your body is just like stressed." Screaming, exactly. And I burst into tears and I said, "There's no time.
Right.
There's no opportunity. It's just, there's so much."
Right.
And she was looking at me incredulous, like, who controls you? You know? And I remember feeling in that moment like it was going to be where I did not have a spare minute for myself for years.
Right.
Because the kids were like, sophomore and juniors in high school.
Yeah.
And it just feels like there's years still before they're going to be done. And anyway, but I'll never forget that feeling. And it's like it was such a wake-up call.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one.
Like, wait a minute, who controls my time?
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of people, me included, when I was first stepping into that, I felt like, well, I'm not good enough if I'm not giving everything to my loved ones. You know what I mean? And really, it's not that.
No, it's the oxygen. It's the oxygen mask.
Yes,
because if you can't breathe, you can't help anybody.
Exactly.
You'll die.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, this is a great conversation. It's like always a good one to hear. A reminder, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And I want to remind our colleagues and friends to check out goodfatlife.com. We have some amazing stuff going on, and it just kind of like to our discussion earlier. Each month gets better because we come from a different place and we know more and we've learned more and keep meeting amazing people that are coming in and supporting the journey.
Absolutely.
And that said, I just want to do a shout out for Snedicor's cleaners. Right?
I love them.
So they are amazing, and I'm doing a better job. I just got California closets.
Ooh.
Right? I just said that was part of my self-care is I needed to get better organized with my clothes, but also because of everything that I'm learning from Jim Gilliland, who owns Snedicors, is the importance of just having great quality fibers and fabrics because they last for generations, really, if you take care of them. And Snedicors allows me to take exquisite care of them.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, and it's helping me simplify. Because I don't know if, I'm finding stuff that, it's been here for years. And I keep thinking,
I'll use it.
Or, when my weight's at here, I can wear it again. Well, anyway.
Right.
So thank you to Snedicors for being part of my self-care.
Right. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
So thank you. Go out and have your fat life.